I might just run through the little bit of housekeeping anyway, while the boring parts, you know yourself.
Yeah, okay.
Well, first, everyone, you're very welcome to today's webinar on BIM technology. My name is Dara Hoka. I'm here with the lovely James Phillip. For anyone who has any questions, we're more than happy to take them at the end. If you can pop them in the chat as we go along. We'll have probably 10 minutes towards the end where we'll run through some of the questions. The recording will also be made available to everyone here. There'll be an email sent out in the next couple of days with a link to the recordings. As I said, I'm with the Industry 4 SkillNet. So we are a SkillNet network. We provide subsidized training to industry in Ireland. That's the one. The Industry 4 SkillNet is a part of FutureCast. FutureCast is a technology center for the construction and quarrying industry. So the reason we're putting on these webinars is to launch our new range of Autodesk courses in collaboration with CADline. So all of these courses come with a SkillNet discount on the list price for any companies operating in Ireland. So please do get in touch about them. The final bit of housekeeping is we really depend on all of your feedback to continue to provide good training and development in the future. So I will be sending out in the chat towards the end a link to a feedback form, and again in a follow-up email. And that is everything. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, Dara. Okay, let's go to my slide. So just a little bit about me before I go into my slides. So I'm James Phillip. I'm the Senior AEC Services Manager at CADline, which is a very grandiose title. But that just means I look after all the digital construction, which is BIM for argument's sake, Revit and AutoCAD from a technology point of view. So this is why it's fallen to me to present this. I've been probably presenting BIM since 2013. Just a bit about as well about my experience. So I'm a time-served mechanical engineer, spent about 15 years in the industry, and then moved across to the reseller channel, the Autodesk reseller channel, and I've been in the reseller channel about 15 years as well. So I've been there around a long while. So what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to look at ensuring the BIM strategy is in place, and this was what came out of my colleague, Michael Johnson, who did the collaboration with BIM Strategic Overview. And one of the key factors that came out of that was that you need a BIM strategy going forward, which will control the flow of a BIM project through your company. And then we're going to talk about the importance of a CDE, which is a common data environment where your information is stored, and then a standard that controls the BIM workflow is the ISO 19650. And then we look at the key to authoring, or to key to 3D authoring, which I'm going to ask you a question at that point. So if I don't, just stop me and say, James, you're going to ask us a question at that 3D authoring point. And then the essentials of 4D planning, and then the use of data beyond construction, and then summary at the end, and we'll take the questions. So without no further ado, let's tell you a little bit about CADline. I'm not going to go through chapter and verse, but we are a platinum reseller. We've been training for excess of 25 years. We manage 40,000 subscription licenses and 200,000 globally. We're a member of the Platinum Advisory Board. We're a lead constructor certified partner as well. We're a master subcontractor. And we partner with Autodesk delivering global projects. And that I've got personal experience with because I went to Hong Kong on Autodesk's behalf to deliver some training for them. So that was a good trip out. And then well established in expertise in license compliance and partner of choice for data integration and data management. So that's us in a nutshell. But let's get on to more of what you're here for. Ensuring the BIM strategy is in place. So as Michael quite eloquently put, the strategy is key. And the reason why I've got this BIM diagram, which has every aspect of the BIM process, is because somewhere in all of this, your company's operation will fit and you'll deliver or you'll participate in some of the stages that are in the diagram. So it starts off at demolition, can't even say it, demolition, and then renovation, programming, concept, design, detailed design, analysis, documentation, fabrication, construction logistics, construction 4 and 5D, and then operation and maintenance. And that's the whole project life cycle from start to finish. And as I say, your company's area of business will fit into a number of those stages. It may fit into all of those stages if you're big enough. And so your strategy must cover the entire project life cycle. So in other words, you receive a tender in the door, it goes out as a finished article or the finished articles on site. That's your BIM strategy, must cover all those aspects of your delivery process. Okay, so the I in BIM is information. And the common data environment is where the information is stored. And the one you're looking at is Autodesk Docs, which comes as part and parcel of the AEC collection. And what it allows you to do is to firstly store your documents, but it also allows you to, and it's obviously cloud-based, it is unlimited storage, but it has some automation in it as well. So you can set up files for review and go through a review process. And the most important thing about common data environment is that everything is monitored. So you know who did what, when, and what they did. And so a couple of comments are here. So get the right information into the right hands with structured subfolders and robust permission tools. And what you saw was document approvals, reduce manual efforts and automate review of drawings, models, and documents before sharing. And then there's more to it because you can mark up. And so what this common data environment allows you to do is you don't have to have the technical software to be able to mark up and comment and make any anomalies for people's attention, because you can do it all within the common data environment software with something like Autodesk Docs. So it says document collaboration, communicate with markups and issues, enhancing collaboration between teams. And then design review, identify and prioritize and engineering design problems with markups, issues, and automated reviews, and Construct IQ. And the Construct IQ part of it is a dashboard just telling you project trends. So you can see if any part of the project is failing, then it will show it up in graphical format. And this is a nice little feature what you're seeing here, because it's the version compare, where you can compare two versions. And it's also showing you as well the issue process. So there's a number of useful functionality within this environment, which just makes life a lot easier. And you don't, most importantly, you don't need the native software to be able to see it. A key part of the BIM process is a standard, and the standard is ISO 19650. And this is it started off as a British standard, but it's an international standard, and simply because it's been adopted internationally in Australia, in Holland, and it's a set of instructions. So there's a naming convention, and then there's a folder structure, which if you work on a government project in the UK, they will expect you to work to this standard. But what a lot of the major contractors have done, because they do so much government work, they've implemented it throughout all their jobs. And so that means there's been a drive towards using this standard, especially the naming convention. And this is what Autodesk Docs will allow you then to set up and police, because what you're seeing is the standard implemented in the environment. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show it to you firsthand. But anyway, so what it says is for an Autodesk Docs project, admins can click on settings in the file tool and then naming standard to get the naming standard builder, and that's what it allows you to do. The preview of the naming standard will update if changes are made to the naming standard or convention or relative attributes. And then on this page, project admins can choose to customize naming standard and enforce naming standard on folders, subfolders, and enable or disable the holding area. And holding area, as you'll see in the next slide, is just an area if the files don't comply with the standard, then they're put there until they do. So what we've got here, it's not moving. That's better. So what we've got is the naming standard itself in all desktops. We're going to set it up, and you can not only can you set up the standard, but you can create your own column headers, or they call them attributes, so that ISO 19650 is the basis, but you can customize it to suit yourself, because you might have a slightly different variation to the standard for your company. And that's allowed. So what we're creating here is a phase attribute, which we are creating as a drop-down list. And what we're going to do is to add it to the naming standard when we go into customize. And with the naming standard itself, you can have any of the column headers at the top, which are the compulsory ones, and the ones at the bottom are the metadata. And they have some preset values in accordance with ISO 19650 already assigned to them. So you can see that the graphic showing you the type and the role, and then the numbers is a unique number that differentiates the file, and then you can add in your own attribute if you need to. The system won't allow you to also to have two files with the same name, and then once you've applied it, you can then say these are the folders. So you don't have to have it for every single folder. You can have it at certain folders where you know that the interaction is going to be with the design department or the technical department or any department that needs the folder structure. And then what we can then do is upload a number of files, and you'll see that's what we're going to do next. Just choose a few. And they don't conform. So quite easily, this is the holding area. And so what will happen now, they're in the holding area. You make them conform by putting in the correct information. And this will be what the file is listed as in the environment. And so you'll see it gets the originator. And there's a couple of things that have been changed, like volume and system and level. Then they've been changed to functional breakdown and spatial breakdown in the new ISO 19650. And so even though this is not up to date, you can change them in this environment by doing the customization. So it works well in that respect. Okay. And that's the files updated. Right. We got to the key to 3D authoring. And I said I'm going to ask you a question at this point. So this is that point in the proceedings when I'm going to ask you that question. And the question is, put in the chat, what design software do you use? And if you use more than one, so is it Revit, is it AutoCAD, is it Civil 3D, is it Plant 3D? I want you to put in the chat, and I'm going to look in the chat to make sure that you've all done it. And I'm not going to stop until I've got however many answers I need. So I'm expecting lots and lots. That's really good. Civil 3D, lots of AutoCAD. Inventor, there's a nice one there. Revit, Civil 3D, Infoworks and Navisworks. Wow, okay. Civil 3D, SketchUp on occasion, Revit. So we've got some quite sophisticated users, which is really, really good. Okay, keep going, and what I will do, I will carry on about the 3D authoring software. So let's bring my cursor back over. It says the key to 3D authoring: follow the workflow detailed in the BIM strategy, and I can't emphasize that enough. The BIM strategy must cover your workflow, must have a section in it for the 3D authoring. And then choose the best modeling software suited to your discipline, because we all know that Revit's a great architectural tool, but is it the best for structural design? It may not be. You can do structural design with it, but there may be others that are better. And then create intelligent 3D models with real-world behavior, and that's it. This is why you choose, in fact, this is why the key to the modeling software that you use, it has to have real-world behavior, because that's where the I in BIM is. The information is stored within the 3D model. And then collaborate fully with other disciplines from the start. And that's most important as well. BIM will allow you to bring all the other disciplines in at the start of the process rather than much later on when they can't affect the design, because it's a collaborative design that you're creating, and it leads to less problems downstream when you get on site. And then constantly review the design process to improve efficiency. I'm not very good at reading today, I don't know why, but anyway, let me continue. So this is Infoworks for all of you that haven't seen Infoworks before. So this is for your conceptual site design. It allows you to do roads and bridges. You can then take it into something like Civil 3D, to do your much more detailed site construction. So you can do landfills, and you can do roads, and you can do drainage. Civil 3D is probably the best tool for any civil work that you need to do. And it's really, really comprehensive what you can do with it. And then what you can do when this is finished doing its stuff is you can plot perhaps how vehicles get onto the site with vehicle tracking. And this has the ability to not only do vehicle parts, but you can create videos from it. You can create vehicle patterns. And then once you've completed it, you can re-import it back into Infoworks. And then on the right, you can see that the format is the conceptual architectural model. And it's a bit like SketchUp, but it's Autodesk's version of it. But the advantage it has over SketchUp is it goes straight into Revit. So you would create your conceptual model in format, also very good for doing master planning. And then once you get to a point, you can bring it into Revit. And this is good old Revit for all of you that, and you can do the much more detailed design. We say real world components with real world behaviors. You can do the detailed design with this. And you can do visualizations as well. And not as good as 3D Studio Max, but you can get some good visualizations out of it to give the client the appreciation of what they're going to get. It's not only discipline specific, because you can do structural in there, you can do building services within it, my area of expertise. And so Revit is very comprehensive when it comes to the authoring, modeling, and the collaboration as well, because you can get all the models together. Once it's completed, back into Infoworks for your site visualization. And that really, for this demonstration, completes the process. So let's go on. I was expecting something else to happen, but I think it's on the next one. So it just threw me for a moment. 4D, the essentials of 4D planning. So once again, can't emphasize this enough. Follow the workflow detailed in the BIM strategy. The use of 4D planning software to create a federated site model. That's it, all the models together in the federated model gives you your overall site, and then you can do your site reconstruction. Associate the 4D model with the project plan. Yes, it has. And this is Navisworks, which has the ability to connect the project plan with the model so that you can actually see the model being built and you get a visual progress report. You can run crash detections to resolve design issues and then use the 4D models to simulate and resolve any site or any problem site conditions. And as I say, project progress is reflected in the 4D model. So let's just see it. Let's see what we're going to get. So this is Navisworks, and it allows you to import in all the different disciplines. It takes different model types as well, not just the Autodesk ones. You can run crash detection reports, and this also links in with the common data environment where you can create issues. You can see this is a civil 3D model linked in there as well, where it's showing you the site conditions. And then this is the progress of the model as it's created and associated with the project plan. And this is not the hard sell, but all of these products that you've seen and more are in the Autodesk AEC collection. So that gives you a whole raft of different bits of software which cover all the aspects of the BIM process. So then what happens to all of this data? Because we've taken it from the start and we've brought it all the way through to the end of the project, but is that the end of it? So the use of data beyond construction. So the models must be updated to reflect the final as-built status. That is really, really a key to it, because there's no point in doing lots of stuff on site which you haven't recorded in the finished model, so that when you hand it over, it's not up to date. And then the relevant data is extracted out for use in the facilities management software. That's it. It is not put in a drawer. It is not put on a shelf. It is not kept in your archives. It is given, and it's probably one of your BIM deliverables. It will be that they want a model that's going to interact with the facilities management software and then run it going forward. Now, as the use of the facility continues, then models may be further updated to reflect any changes made during operation. So there'll be a service provided or needed to be able to do that. And this is an opportunity for model authors to provide this function as a service to owner operators. Because yes, they're not going to have the key to having Revit software and know the model as well as you. So you can keep that interaction or keep that association with the owner operator, so that if the facility was to change, you get the job to update it because you create the originals. So one of the facilities management software is BIM 360 Ops, and it's easy to use mobile first maintenance management with solution with web and mobile clients. It connects BIM asset data with technicians to achieve day one building operation readiness, and it provides indoor maps to locate tickets, assets, and do wayfinding for technicians and enable a more effective ticket triage and analysis. Okay. And so that was a whistle-stop tour through all of the development software. Sorry, I forgot what it was. And hopefully I'll just summarize it. So most importantly, as we went through it, ensure that the strategy is in place. Okay. We said that the strategy itself must go from tender to out the door. So the whole process. CDEs, where your information is being kept, that's the storage. And what you might find is that you may have to interact with, say, for example, if you're a tier 2 contractor, you might use a tier 1 contractor's CD and you think to yourself, well, why do I need my own? But of course you'll need your own, because you'll have your own data that you need to share and to track within your environment. And then implementing a standard. So the standard just ensures that everybody knows what they're working to. And ISO 19650 is a good standard, it's a good starting point. The key to authoring software, so there was lots of those. We had Infoworks for your conceptual site. We had Civil 3D for your detailed. We had vehicle tracking for vehicle path analysis. We had Formit for your architectural concept models. We had Revit. And there's also things like Plant 3D, which we didn't look at. And we had then had, and I think that was all, wasn't it, as far as but we could have had the building services, which was Revit, and the structural was all in Revit. And then the essentials of 4D planning. So that was the 4D planning service where we brought our federated models. So all the models were imported into what they call the federated model, which is, we did our site analysis and we did our site progress by connecting the project plan to the 4D model. And then finally, we used the data beyond construction. So we said we didn't put it in a drawer, we didn't put it in a box or in a vault. We used the same data to run the facilities management software, which was going to use or control the project going forward, or facility going forward. And that is the whole process. So my next slide is the questions.
Thank you very much, James. Very interesting stuff. I have one or two questions that were sent to me anyway, and if anyone else has any, please feel free to pop them in the chat as well. First off, James, I suppose I'm maybe more of a layperson when it comes to all of this kind of thing with BIM and Revit and everything. But one thing I was kind of wondering, I saw a lot of people mentioned AutoCAD as their main software. Does BIM, I suppose, does it work as well with maybe more 2D kind of geared software?
Right, okay, that's a very good question. And the answer is no, it doesn't. No, I just, of course. Yes, there's a place for the 2D software, because what you'll find is, especially in the early days, you'll have a hybrid approach to your BIM workflow. And there'll be jobs which you'll think are a bit too small for the whole Revit or the Civil 3D, and you just want to knock something up quickly. But as your workflow gets more and more sophisticated, and as you get more and more used to and skilled at working with so we say the 3D software, so the use of AutoCAD or 2D will be less and less. But in the interim, or in the start, in the initial stages, it's going to be very important to do a sort of a hybrid approach.
Okay, yeah. You mentioned as well, you were discussing the kind of way that you track how what everyone added to the project. What I suppose is to stop someone from changing some of your edits or changing your work?
Ah, right. Okay, so that's a really good question as well. You're in charge of your own model. So the model authors are in charge of their models. And even though they share their models, they share them after the fact. So in other words, you will never receive someone else's model and give it back to them. You receive the model in, you get the next update. So it's for your reference purposes, you receive their models, not for editing purposes, if that makes sense.
And is it possible then to perhaps, I suppose, backtrack on changes if edits perhaps don't work or if there's clashes?
Yes. So what you can do is there is a facility within it which will save all of the previous versions. And so you can always roll back the design. If you, in a clash detection, you think to yourself, this clash is far too serious, I'm going to have to, do take a major step back, then all the old save versions will be in your common data environment, and that will allow you to just roll back the design as needed.
Fantastic. Sounds like a great piece of kit altogether.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. I can't speak highly enough of it.
Has anyone else any more questions? The chat is open there. Feel like I've heard too much of myself speaking.
I think I must have raised all the points so eloquently and so well described that there aren't any questions.
That's usually the way I find it anyway.
Well, I don't know. If there aren't any more questions, I'll go to my wrapping up slide.
Absolutely. And if anyone has any further questions, we do have the contact details up here now. Thank you, James. And feel free to contact myself, James, anyone.
That's it. There's only one L in my name, by the way. James Phillip only has one L. That CAD line.
Fantastic. Yes, and we mentioned, of course, the Autodesk courses earlier. You can find them all on the www.industry4skillnet.com. For anybody based in Ireland or working for an Irish-based company, you can apply for the grant funding from the Industry 4 SkillNet to take these courses. Any final comments, James?
No, just happy BIM hunting, should we say? But no, they were great, and it's good that I can impart this knowledge on you. So thank you very much for listening.
Normal. Thank you so much, James. And yes, I saw someone asking about the recording. The recording will, of course, be available for everyone. I will send an email around.
Okay.
Super. Okay. Lovely. Okay. Thank you so much, James. Thank you to everyone for listening to us speak.
You're very welcome, and thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.